Who is Anansi, the spider who wove the world's stories? Have you ever heard of Anansi, the clever spider who tricked the world and brought us stories? No? Well, let me take you on a journey to the heart of Africa. Imagine a time when there were no stories, no legends, and no fables. The world was silent. Boring, right? But then, a small spider changed everything. Anansi is a legendary figure from the Akan people of Ghana. He's more than just a spider. He's a symbol of wisdom, cunning, and, well, a little bit of mischief. Now let's dive into one of his greatest adventures. How Anansi brought stories to the world. A long time ago, all the stories belonged to Nyame, the sky god. Anansi wanted these stories for himself, but Nyame wasn't going to give them up so easily. He told Anansi, "If you want my stories, you must bring me 3 impossible gifts: the python, the leopard, and the hornets. Do you think Anansi could do it?" Most creatures would have given up, but Anansi, he was determined. First, he went to the python. "Oh, mighty python," Anansi said, "is it true you're longer than this palm branch?" Python, proud and curious, stretched himself out next to the branch. While he was distracted, Anansi tied him up and carried him off to Nyame. Next, Anansi faced the leopard. "Leopard, I heard you're the strongest animal in the land. Can you prove it by putting your paw in this hole?" Leopard, not thinking, did as he was told, and snap! Anansi trapped him too. Finally, Anansi approached the hornets. He poured water over their nest and shouted, "Oh no! It's raining! Quick, get into this gourd for safety!" The hornets, confused, flew in too. The gourd and Anansi sealed it shut. Can you believe it? A tiny spider outsmarted them all. He brought the gifts to Nyame, who had no choice but to give him the stories. From that day, stories spread across the world, and we've been telling them ever since. Isn't that amazing? What would you have done in Anansi's place? Would you have dared to face the python, leopard, and hornets? And what does this story teach us? Maybe it's that cleverness and determination can overcome even the greatest challenges. What do you think? Let me tell you another story about Anansi's, let's say, creative personality. One day, Anansi found a magical cooking pot. This pot could cook endless food, but there was one rule. You had to share the food with others. Do you think Anansi followed this rule? Of course not. Anansi kept the pot all to himself. He hid it away and feasted alone. But guess what? The pot didn't like selfishness. One day, it stopped working. Anansi was left hungry and embarrassed. The lesson here: greed will always leave you with nothing. Sharing is the key to happiness. Have you ever learned a similar lesson? Anansi's stories didn't stay in Africa. They traveled across the oceans with the African diaspora. In the Caribbean, he became a beloved figure, known as Aunt Nancy in some places. In America, his cleverness inspired characters like Brer Rabbit. Wherever his stories went, they carried the spirit of Africa, the resilience, the humor, and the wisdom. Isn't it incredible how one spider could weave a web that spans the world? Even today, Anansi's tales teach us valuable lessons. Whether it's about using your brain instead of brawn, or the importance of sharing, his stories remain timeless. And in a world full of challenges, who wouldn't want a little of Anansi's cleverness? Maybe we all have a bit of Anansi within us, don't you think? So now that you know about Anansi, what's your favourite story? Or do you have a trickster hero from your own culture? Share it in the comments below. Let's keep the spirit of storytelling alive. And remember, the next time you hear a spider spinning its web, it might just be Anansi, weaving another story to share with the world.